Ares, gods that Kratos has killed in God of War, and who are they? The god of war, Ares, spent the entire early God of War timeline messing with Kratos in an attempt to make him into a warrior that can challenge Zeus. After Ares made Kratos kill his family, the god-killer decided that he'd do anything to avenge them. When he finally got the chance to take on Ares, he was finally able to kill the god and have his past sins forgiven. Kratos takes his place as the god of war. Many are familiar with Ares, the Greek god of war, often known for his reported skill in battle. While he is the image of battle, that also means he has the attributes of some of the worst parts of the war. Slaughter and brutal destruction are also major factors in the character's personality. Ares was the original Olympian god of war, and the son of Zeus and Hera and the main antagonist of God of War, as well as the perpetrator behind the events of God of War, Ascension, meaning he was also responsible for setting the events of the series into motion by tricking Kratos into killing his family and turning him into the Ghost of Sparta, which eventually fulfilling the prophecy of the marked warrior who would destroy Olympus and end the reign of the gods. Ares was the oldest child of Zeus and was commonly referred to as the most hated god on Mount Olympus, even before being killed by Kratos. Greek mythology. Ares was the god of war, son of Zeus and Hera, and one of the most prominent and powerful gods of Olympus. He was born after the Great War of the Gods and Titans and served his father faithfully for many years. He was also a rival of Athena, his younger sister, because they were both gods, one of war, the other of wisdom, and wished that the other would stand down. His Roman counterpart was Mars. Mars was held in much higher esteem, second only to Kronos, Ionic form of the Doric rho, era, bane, ruin. In God of War series. Alliance with the Furies. Ares came to covet all of Olympus, especially Zeus's throne, so he struck an alliance with the Furies, and persuaded them to take a more ruthless approach. After learning of the prophecy of the marked warrior, who was destined to destroy Olympus and kill Zeus, Ares conceived a child with Alecto in the hope that their child would be the marked one so that he could aid him in overthrowing Zeus and claiming his throne. Unfortunately, Orcos, Ares' child, was not up to his standards and was disowned. The Furies, however, saw potential in Orcos and made him their oath keeper. Encountering Kratos. Two gods of Olympus, Ares and Athena, raided the city of Sparta in order to capture a child named Deimos, who had been suspected of being the mortal who would destroy Olympus in the marked warrior prophecy. After Ares captured the boy, Deimos' brother, Kratos, charged toward Ares to save his younger brother. Despite his efforts, however, Ares hit Kratos on the face and created a bloody scar on his right eye. Ares was about to kill Kratos, but Athena persuaded Ares to leave him be. Ares then left with Deimos, and Athena quickly apologized to Kratos. Ares then took Deimos to the domain of death, where he would be tortured for many years by Thanatos, the god of death. Little did Ares know that the boy to whom he gave a scar would be the same boy who would initially serve him and later leave him in adulthood after his family would be slaughtered by his own hands due to his machinations. Wager of the Gods. Years later, the gods created a contest and chose various mortals as their champions for the capture of the ambrosia. In the Wager of the Gods, Ares was seen in the comics choosing Kratos as his champion and was confident that nothing would stop him in his quest for the ambrosia. After a grueling journey, Kratos captured the ambrosia and thus made Ares the victor of the Wager of the Gods. Trivia. Ares was voiced by Stephen Blum in God of War and God of War, Ascension, and by Fred Tatasciore in God of War 3. Interestingly, he shared the same voice actor, Stephen Blum, as Lucifer from the animated movie of Dante's Inferno, a game that shared many gameplay mechanics and themes. Ares' appearance changed dramatically during the development of God of War. Originally, David Jaffe had intended for the god to appear as 90% energy and 10% material, but because of the limited power of the PS2, Ares' appearance was gradually stripped back to the warrior seen in the final product. Ares also appeared as the main antagonist at the end of Spartan, Total Warrior, a game that shared many similarities with God of War. During the final battle, after Kratos is robbed of his blades and magic, Ares will use the Army of Hades ability, implying he has some degree of power stealing, or perhaps, with him being a god, can also withdraw blessings or powers other Olympians have given him. Because he was killed by Kratos, it was rather unlikely that Ares had a chance to be affected by the evils of Pandora's box, as he did not truly display any characteristics of the evils the box contained. As such, Ares' threat to attack Olympus as well as his bloodthirsty ways were already part of his own character. Ares is technically responsible for Kratos' standard appearance, with the exception of the scar on the latter's abdomen. He attacked Kratos when the latter was a child, giving him a scar on his right eye, and then took Deimos away, leaving Kratos to think his brother was dead and thus caused him to tattoo himself in a way similar to Deimos' birthmark. He also tricked Kratos into killing his own family, thereby causing their ashes to attach themselves to his skin. He even gave Kratos scars on his wrists when he attached the blades of chaos to it. It is unknown why, even if he was an enemy of Kratos, his illusion was used by Gaia in God of War 2 to encourage Kratos to fight back and revive himself after his death at the hands of Zeus. According to one of the secret messages at the end of God of War, Ares' soul was confined to a small chamber in Kratos' throne room, and was forever tormented by an unknown force. Ares' human-sized avatar was only seen in Ghost of Sparta, in flashbacks that showed him taking Deimos away and scarring Kratos. Ares was one of the mentors for God of War, Ascension multiplayer. That made him the only mentor who wasn't a son of Kronos, he's his grandson instead. Ares was ranked on 55th place of the top 100 video game villains on IGN. Ares was the only god in the series shown with the ability to grow retractable blade-like spider legs from his back. It remained unknown if there were other Olympians with that ability or if it's unique to Ares. Megaera, one of the Furies, had spider-like legs growing out of her back. Their appearance was very similar, though more insect-like, compared to Ares, but they were not on fire and they seemed to be truly a part of her physiology. Based on Ares' appearance in God of War, Ascension, his ability to grow those spider legs wasn't a secret to the champions of Ares. In other words, Kratos would have known that Ares had that ability, as was implied by Kratos' complete lack of surprise. The legs were mostly a surprise for the gamer. The champions of Ares had a natural bounding with fire and gained energy from battle as revealed in Ares' trailer of Ascension. In God of War, Ascension, Ares was seen with shorter hair and beard than in the other games. The reason of the change was still unknown. It was most likely, however, that Ares, like the other gods, could change his appearance depending on whatever suited him. Since Ares' appearance in Ascension is shown in flashbacks, it is possible this was Ares' appearance prior to Kratos' birth or as the game took place 10 years prior to the original game. Ares is technically responsible for the events of the Greek-era games of the series. By tricking Kratos into killing his family, he would set him on the path that would lead to Olympus' destruction. Ironically, Ares lacks a mustache with his facial hair, a gesture which is seen by most cultures as a symbol of nonviolence and pacifism. Mustaches are strongly associated with military services, and thus removing them was considered a symbolic gesture of rejecting militarism.